Let me ask you, can a car be considered art? Well, if you have any doubts about that, you won't after you visit a popular exhibit at the Frist Center for the Visual Arts in Nashville. It's a rare collection of Art Deco inspired automobiles from around the world, an exhibit appropriately called Sensuous Steel. They arrived in Nashville, Tennessee from some of the rarest collections in the country. 18 cars hand-built by some of history's top craftsmen. It's a collection that reflects the style of an era, from the mid-20s to the early 40s, when Art Deco was at its peak. One by one, they were rolled into the Frist Center for the Visual Arts, an Art Deco icon itself built as a post office in 1934. A fitting site for a one-of-a-kind exhibit called Sensuous Steel.
You're good.
When I came to the Frist Center in 2004, I began looking for a decorative arts exhibition from the Art Deco period, and the objects just kept getting larger and larger.
The Art Deco movement started in France in the early 20s and quickly spread in the shape of everything from architecture to furnishings. It was inevitable that Art Deco would also inspire industrial car designers.
In some instances, they were looking at aircraft, they were looking at trains, they were even looking at ships like the Normandy and thinking, these are design elements, design cues that can translate to cars on the road. And I'll be the one to do that. Can't be a fat guy and own this car.
The man who amassed this collection is Ken Gross, automotive journalist and former curator of the Peterson Car Museum in LA. He borrowed two French-made Delahaye's from the mid-30s, both created for Paris art shows, each described as a Paris gown on wheels. There's also a 1938 Talbot Lagat teardrop, one of only 12 streamlined curvaceous coupes built in France for beauty and for racing. Two Bugattis from the 30s are here too, a two-tone Type 46 reminiscent of shoes popular in the era, and the other a 57C, a wedding present from France to the future Shah of Iran in 1939.
People like to talk about a fusion of form and function. In many instances here, function was like a secondary. They wanted it to look right, to look good, to look beautiful, and so that's what they did. And you know, if it happened to work, that's fine.
Designed to give the illusion of dramatic movement and forward thrust, designers merged gentle curves with angular edges. And they were built using the finest materials. But are they art? Frist Center CEO Susan Edwards sure thinks so.
And when you see them and the beautiful lines and the materials, you'll understand why they are art. You can have a transformative experience just looking at them.
Among the American-made cars, a 1929 Cord, once owned by famed architect Frank Lloyd Wright. And this colorful 1930 Jordan Model Z Roadster, probably the only survivor of a luxurious limited series built in Cleveland and discovered by accident by its owner in a warehouse.
Out of the corner of my eye, there it was. My knees buckled because I knew what it was.
This long and large roadster sits on two chassis welded together, and for power, a 12-cylinder inline aircraft engine. Some experts consider the stout Scarab as the first production minivan. This 36 model has a rear-mounted Ford flathead engine and coil springs in all four corners. This Chrysler C2 Airflow coupe was perhaps too modern for its time in 1935. In addition to the Art Deco influences, it was miles ahead of its competitors in terms of strength, safety, and aerodynamics. In terms of sales, well, that's a different story. Now, this car may signify the end of Art Deco in American automotive steel. It's a 1941 Chrysler Thunderbolt. Only 5 were made. Then along came World War II and the end of the line for the car and the movement. The success of any art or car show depends on how the public embraces it. And at this preview party, it was quickly obvious the museum had a bona fide hit on its hands.
They're classic. They'll be this way 100 years from now.
Most of you think cars are a guy thing. What do you think about it?
I think that it's a matter of design, and that they're absolutely beautiful designs.
I think it'd be good for the young generation to come and see these kind of cars.
And I like cars too. It's not just a guy thing.
Yeah.
I hope that they don't question the idea that automobiles like this belong in a museum exhibition. And I hope that some little kids are intrigued enough to become car enthusiasts.
After World War II, automotive designs changed. Even concept cars reflected a new jet-powered atomic age influence, using new, lighter, synthetic materials. But thanks to collections like this, people can always escape to a magic era of sensuous steel, when automotive elegance reigns supreme.
People seem to love it.